Everyone, welcome back. The Polestar 3 prototype review, the most important new Swedish electric SUV since the last one. So this is actually quite interesting. What we've got here is some new images of the Polestar 3. What a beautiful car it is. Every time I see new images of this vehicle or even existing images, I'm reminded of how incredibly beautiful this car is. What an incredible job that Polestar did designing this beast. And it will be an important car for the Polestar company, for the Polestar brand, in every capacity. Interior, exterior, it's absolutely beautiful. And this car is a clear European car. For anyone saying that, they build these cars in China, these are Chinese cars, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, as long as the car is reliable. And for a Swedish company like Polestar, the cars have to be reliable. Just like Volvo, remember now, this is the child of Volvo. If you trust Volvo and you can trust that the new Volvo cars are reliable, well, the Polestar cars will be reliable. They're being built by the same people, Volvo factories. And if it's Geely factory, it's all Volvo engineered, it's all Volvo approved. So I never really understand the controversy or the criticism that Polestar and Volvo face for building cars in China. This is business. What do you expect? But what I see here is a premium vehicle. I've noticed it since the moment I saw this vehicle in photos. I saw this vehicle in person at the Goodwood Festival of Speed. I noticed how premium it is, how incredibly beautiful it is, and it's going to be a huge hit for the company. Remember now, we got the frameless mirrors on this car. I know it's just a small thing, but seriously, one of the things I noticed about this car is the design of the rear components connecting to the wheels. And I've got to say, this looks extremely clean. I've looked at other EVs, I've looked at other electric cars, SUVs and all that. And I've got to say, I really like what Volvo is doing here. And I've got to say, I really like what Polestar is doing here. I really do. So we've got an article here from Top Gear. Let's see what they have to say. So what Top Gear is basically saying is, look at that. You waited ages for a Polestar and then two came at the same time. This is the new 3, Polestar 3, which is arriving shortly after the Polestar 4. I know it's confusing, which has launched just before it and has gone on sale in China. Yes, indeed, the Polestar 4 is in sale in China currently. So what is it actually supposed to be? That's an entirely valuable question. It's an SUV, of course, but trying hard to disguise itself with design and things. It's got estate vibes. That's the Polestar 4 that Top Gear is talking about. They're saying it is an SUV, but it's got a sedan or estate kind of vibe. Low look to its end in a sleek rear hatch, but it's still hide and ride. It's also very pure back and minimalist when you compare it to some of the efforts in the premium end of market. Polestar Chief's designer, Maximilian Missoni, says that the quiet approach is deliberate. One of the company is taken. It is the Scandinavian way to be loud by staying quiet. That's what Volvo has done, and they've done it terrifically. Polestar is following in the footstep of Volvo. I want you to understand that. They're following in the footstep of Volvo, and I think that'll work very well. Looks quite sharp though, doesn't it? Aerodynamics have been quite a focus on the outside of the Polestar 3. Missoni says that if you let aero detect the shapes of the car, then you naturally end up with a distinctive teardrop silhouette that all eco cars follow. What Polestar has done here is sprinkle a bit of aero magic on a more familiar SUV footprint. And that's true, this car looks like an SUV, which is good. This is with a cool looking wing sitting at the front of the nose and conditioning air over the windscreen and through the rear and over the roof. So this is actually really unique. It also has a wing at the back as well. Keep that in mind. And I can confirm that, there you go, that's the wing at the back. So that flicks air up, and aerodynamically, they designed this car specifically in a very good way. I really like what Polestar has done with this car. I can't really complain, to be honest. So first impression, the design is very neat. The size of the car is well judged and effectively disguised. The aero tricks are neat at the front and rear, and the height of the rear hatch is lower than you expect. The car tape and coupe style down. The 3 shares all its underbodies with the recently revealed Volvo EX90, but it's 140mm shorter, 130mm lower, 160mm longer than the upright range topping SUVs from across the other side of Gutenberg. So does it drive nicely? The rules of the car maker is that whatever the car is, they always make the claim that their car is The rule of the automaker is that whatever the car is, they always make the claim that theirs is a sportier one. With a dynamic ride and plenty of engagement for the driver, is the 3 a sports car? Well, no, of course not, but it's surprisingly mature and fun to drive. That's what Top Gear is saying. The motor is peaky in the way that the electric vehicle are. The motor is peaky in the way that all electric vehicles are. You get 484 horsepower, you get 620 pound-feet of torque in the standard version of the car, boosted to 510 brake horsepower, 671 pound-feet of torque if you opt for the performance pack. Wow, you can get over 500 horsepower in this car if you go for the performance pack. But even the standard pack is 483 horsepower. That's incredible. The 0 to 62 miles per hour time is 5.1 seconds in the normal standard Performance 3, knocking off 0.3 seconds with the extra power. The acceleration is metered out in linear, well-judged fashion rather than a slunk of torquey mess being dumped through the wheels and leading the car scrabbingly on the road. The performance pack add more engineering, software tweaks, a power boost, gold seatbelts, vault caps, and fancy 22-inch alloy wheels. So we're looking forward to seeing whether or not the pack is really worth going for. We only had a brief go behind the wheel of the late pre-production, fresh from Gutenberg factory, but early signs were very promising. The brakes are impressive. Though the accelerator felt overly light on the car that we tested, that could do with some more resistance. Another one of those dreaded things that can be tweaked with an over-the-air updates perhaps. And that's the unique thing about Polestar is that they're adapting to over-the-air updates. They've been doing that with the popular Polestar 2. And of course, they'll continue doing that with the Polestar 3, with the Polestar 4, 5, and 6, and future Polestar vehicles. So how's the ride? The air suspension of active dampers are the first for the brand. They've been well integrated into the car. It's easy to forget that there's 2.6 tons of car underneath you. The weight is well contained and kept in check, thanks partly to the dual chamber air suspension and active dampers. Also, the low center of gravity with most of the mass contained in the obese 111 kilowatt battery pack beneath the floor. Wow, that's extraordinary. I really love our Polestars and I can't compliment them enough on how much I love what they're doing with this car. The onboard charger will juice the car up to 11 kilowatts. Find yourself a suitable beefy rapid charger and you can fill that to up to 250 kilowatts. You'll need something heavy duty to avoid being stuck charging for hours. The battery of the Polestar 3 is a whopping 111 kilowatts, which is how the 2.3-ton car manages a 379-mile range. That's extraordinary. Good job to Polestar, by the way. I really love where this is going. It's about 30 miles less than the performance pack, by the way. Keep that in mind. So filling up the battery from empty on an 11 kilowatt AC charger will take 11 hours, while plugging into a 250 kilowatt charger will get you from 10% to 80% in roughly 30 minutes. From 10% to 80%. That's an additional 70% in 30 minutes. Perhaps in 40 minutes you can fill up the car. That's extraordinary. It is really remarkable what we've been able to accomplish with electric cars in recent years. And I look forward to seeing more of this, of course. So what's the interior like? It looks good inside the Polestar 3. It's all minimalist, but not to the point that you feel you're sitting in the cinema seat with a huge screen in front of you. That's true. The Polestar has a very simple screen. The only problem, in my opinion, and I think it is a problem, it's that it's portrait. It should be landscape. Everything is gearing towards landscape. Landscape makes more sense, especially for a cinematic experience, unless this rotates, unless the screen display rotates. Apart from that, I don't see why we need portraits. Now overall, the Polestar 3 takes the Polestar template established with the 2 and moves it on a notch. The look and feel of the car is familiar, but it's a little bit better established and easier to live with. Polestar is keen to create a bit of distance between itself and Volvo, but lots of nice day-to-day touches remain. It's all very sensible, even down to the UI team beaving away behind the scenes to make bespoke icons and spiff up Volvo's infotainment system to make it easier to understand. The 14.5-inch central display is portrait orientated and it runs on the same Google setup as you'd find in Volvo's offering, but Polestar has given the entire thing a thorough going over, so that's key to keep in mind. The steering wheel is new, it's firm to the touch, comparatively small adding to the dynamic car that it feels like. It has capacitive touch buttons to control various different functions, including the mirror's positioning and the steering wheel itself when you're in the right touchscreen submenu. You sit behind the wheel in the car rather than on it. That's good, you sit behind the wheel rather than on it. Another intentional move by Polestar to reduce the upright SUV feel the car could have veered towards, and thankfully they didn't. Rear passengers won't suffer from the lack of headroom. In fact, there's plenty of legroom too, which is good because you'd really have to wedge your feet under the seat in front if they were any closer. So that's a good point. Remember, this vehicle chassis, remember now, this vehicle is based on the Volvo EX90 platform. That's a much bigger vehicle. So what you have in the Polestar 3 is a lot of added space because the Polestar 3 is 2 rows. The Volvo EX90, it's 3 rows. They've added extra seats in the rear. But it's also a bigger vehicle. It's also a longer vehicle. So I'm going to be really interested to find out what these vehicles feel like when I get a chance to test drive them. But that is it for this video. So it looks like a lot of companies out there are test driving these vehicles at the moment, which is really good for Polestar. The only thing I'd have to say is that, where's my invitation? Honestly, I need an invitation to test drive the Polestar 3 in the UK. If anyone from Polestar watches my videos, let me know. Could you talk to someone? Could you help me out? Get a performance, help me out and get a test unit, or perhaps I can drive to you and test the unit. Wherever in the UK you are, I'll be willing to drive to you to test the Polestar 3. Thank you for watching these videos. Subscribe to see more. Leave a like, leave a comment, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.